A very good late evening to all of my friends out there. Welcome to the Sports Note for Friday night, March 25th, 2022. If any of you out there had the St. Peter's Peacocks in the Sweet 16, first of all, you're a damn liar. Secondly, if you actually had them in the Elite Eight, you need to kind of check yourself into some sort of clinic for that type of issue, regardless of what it might be. What a game tonight between them and the Boilermakers of Purdue. Uh, I actually, and yes, I am still wearing my workout clothes 2 hours after this because it was such a great second half by the time I tuned in. I I didn't want to actually, even waste the possibility of missing a single second of it changing out of these clothes because of how back and forth that went. Purdue's largest lead in that second half was only four. St. Peter's actually held Purdue scoreless for nearly the first 5 minutes for seven turnovers. I'm sorry, forced Purdue to miss their first seven shots, commit on four turnovers and three fouls in just those first 5 minutes, and then just put the clamps down. Just tons and tons of pressure in the backcourt every time Purdue took the ball up the floor, whether it was after a made field goal, whether it was after a rebound, whether it was an out of bounds play on the boundary. It was one of the best games I've actually seen this entire tournament, and trust me, I've watched a lot of them. This is We're running out of things to call history anymore. We saw UMBC as a 16 beat Arizona. Now, granted, Arizona as a one was missing the National Player of the Year, in that loss back in 2018. We saw Oral Roberts as a 15 get to the Sweet 16 last year after knocking off Ohio State in the first round, and I can't remember off the top of my head who was their second round victim. We saw Florida Gulf Coast as a 15 get to the Sweet 16 with also within the last 10 to 12 years, but we're really running out of this because regardless of who wins this game between North Carolina and UCLA, which I have my eye on just out of the corner of the peripheral here, having to kind of lean over and see that UCLA is currently up three at this point. Really hoping for UCLA because I'm a big fan, and especially with these two of the most storied schools in the history of college basketball. I think between them, there's, I want to say, either 18, 19, or 20 national championships. Um, St. Peter's is going to be a tough out for whoever on Sunday. Let's also keep in mind that when reserve guard Doug Edert, who was challenging Drew Timme of Gonzaga for the best mustache in the tournament, missed the front end of a 1-and-1 despite being an 89% free throw shooter. How many of you out there said that Purdue was going to go on a run, you know, when they were up four at the time and finally put, a 15 away as honestly a couple of other teams, namely, one and done University, also known as the Kentucky Wildcats, and Murray State should have actually done last weekend. Guilty. But that's actually just the sign of such a great team. When they had five guys on the floor at one point that shot 72% or better from the line, even after Casey and Defo fouled out with about 5 minutes to go. Now, Indefo only finished with 4 points, four assists, and three rebounds in, doesn't actually tell me how many minutes he played because the box score hadn't officially updated by the time I'm recording this. But he frustrated Purdue all night inside. I mean, Purdue is running out their Zach Edey, who's a 7'4" center, and Edey only ended up scoring 11 points and snagged two rebounds and committed five turnovers. What does that say about how valuable Indefo was in this game on, you know, really more so on the defensive end. Matt Painter's Boilermakers could not get into a rhythm all night, and as a result, they're going home. The Big Ten sent 9 teams to the tournament, which was more than any other conference in the country. And as of the moment this video is being recorded at 11:14 p.m. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 10 teams left in the tournament. The Big Ten has absolutely none of them. Not one Big Ten team ended up getting out of the round of 16. And I'll tell you what, while we're talking about being lucky to get out of the Sweet 16, Kansas had to actually claw tooth and nail to avoid history of their own against Providence tonight, because if Providence would have pulled that upset, it would have been the first time in the history of the tournament that a number one seed has not made it to the Elite Eight since they started seeding teams in 1978, back when it was only 32 teams. But now St. Peter's again is going to get either North Carolina or UCLA. Good luck with that one. You'd figure both of those teams should run over St. Peter's, but not when they play defense this well, when they pressure this well, when they shoot this well from the line, even though they've only shot 69.1% as a team through this point, with 33 games for them now with their 22-11 record. But they also hold their opponents to under 63 points a game, which is actually in the top 20 of the country, considering there are almost 350 schools at the Division I level in college basketball. What exactly does that say of just how good Shaheem Holloway's team is right now, and how much fun this has been to watch them? Knocking off Kentucky in that opener basically busted 98% of the country's 98% of the country's brackets, and it was worth it, because anytime Kentucky loses that early, it's a win for everyone, because the hell with Kentucky. I don't want to actually say something else here, because it's way too late and I'd get way too animated. But it's a word that rhymes with the first half of Kentucky's name. You can read between the lines. But if you look at it, North Carolina, just that entire East bracket, North Carolina taking down defending national champion and top-seeded Baylor in the second round after blowing a 22-point lead in that game and having it go to overtime. And as I'm looking now, North Carolina has actually stormed back to take a 2-point lead with about 12 and a half minutes to go in that one. Gonzaga goes out last night. Arizona goes out last night. Again, Kansas has got to struggle. Iowa State and Miami right now are 2 double-digit seats, which we covered in yesterday's post. And the winner gets Kansas. Houston gets Villanova tomorrow. Arkansas gets Duke with Mike Krzyzewski's career on the line. Does Krzyzewski have another Final Four run in him? Does St. Peter's pull the impossible and get to the Final Four on Sunday night with this? Regardless of who they face, it would naturally be, they've already made history of being the first 15 seed to get this far. They've actually made history by the first team lower than a 12 to get to this point. And let's also remember, George Mason as an 11 back in 2006 made the Final Four as an 11. Villanova won it as an 8 before, right about the time the tournament had just expanded to 64. This is the most up and down, back and forth, inside out tournament I can honestly remember, and UMBC might have the biggest upset again in history, but there is no doubt in anybody's mind after tonight that St. Peter's has got the greatest run of an underdog in the history of this tournament. And I cannot wait to see what the final games really tonight and this weekend, and also especially with the Final Four next weekend and the championship have to offer. I actually just wish that CBS would kind of get their head out of their ass and broadcast the regional finals the Final Four and the championship on CBS as opposed to actually having it on cable for those of us like myself who are cord cutters who are now going to have to find an alternate method to watch that. But let me know what you guys think. Did you watch the game tonight? What do you think? Who's basically your pick to win the whole thing right now? And does St. Peter's actually even have do they have another miracle in them? And it's even I can't believe you almost don't even want to call it a miracle anymore for the way that they've actually gone out and done this to where they've knocked the Big Ten out. They knocked Kentucky out, who was on the verge of being on the one line, and they've proven that the smallest school in this tournament has got the biggest bark, especially when they've got a weapon in their hand, and their weapon is their defense right now. So let me know what you guys think. Comment below. Let me know. You can always like and subscribe, and find me on Twitter and Facebook. The links to the blog and Twitter will actually be down below, and I will see you guys in the next couple of days. Take care.